Hello and welcome to Alexology's Madhouse, my new channel, which is going to consolidate all of my reviews separate from my own personal YouTube channel. And today we're going to be looking at the Centurion Mark 7.1, or the Centy 7, as I like to call it. Without a doubt, one of my top 3 tanks in the game at the moment. And it comes down to 2 pieces of equipment. It's this gun and it's that turret. The rest of the tank is fairly past remarkable as a medium, but it's these two in combination that make this tank absolutely phenomenal. Looking at the tech tree, let's just see where this thing comes in. Well, you've climbed up from the Crusader all the way up to Cromwell in pretty fast tanks with very little armor, fast firing, a lot of fun to play, and I think pretty easy. You have short games or you have epic games. It's one or the other. Then we get to tier 7, where we meet this new breed of universal tank. And this is the Comet, the Centurion one, the Centy 7 one, and to some extent the 4202. I had a big problem with the Comet. It took me a long time to figure out the different playstyle from the Cromwell to the Comet. Cromwell is your typical tier 6 scrim tank speed demon, driving around, causing chaos, peppering enemies to death with a low alpha gun. And then we get to the Comet. You've still got this low alpha gun at tier 7, but suddenly you're not very fast. And that got me killed again and again and again. And it took me a long time. It was actually until my mastery game in the Comet that I realized that it was all about the turret and the gun depression. If I'd been using Tank Inspector or something like that, I might have figured it out earlier. But I really, really struggled and didn't like that tank. But when I finally realized how to play it, it was time to unlock the Centurion one, which is a fabulous machine. Very, very enjoyable. And then the zenith of this playstyle for me is the Centurion 7.1, which is it's just such a joy to play. I can take this tank into a tier 10 without any concern. I feel I'm completely at ease playing this tank at 9 and 10. I don't feel in any way held back by its performance or its statistics. So what have we got? Well, looking at the Armour Inspector, there's 2 things we need to notice here. First of all, we've got this fantastic mantlet. Okay, mostly spaced armor, very, very bouncy. You see numbers jumping around into the 300s on occasion, into ricochets. And if we look at it from above, you can see just how thick that mantlet is. Never, ever shoot at that mantlet. It's just a wasted shot. And if you're a Centy 7.1 driver, never expose anything except for your mantlet and your turret. That's the only part of this tank you want the enemy to see. And with your fabulous gun depression, which we can see here, profile on, you can see how easy that is going to be. This thing is a hill fighter par excellence. Okay, it is designed to be getting up onto the ridges on Himmelsdorf, the undulations on the map in Swamp. This thing is designed to be a quick movable bunker. This turret will save your life more times than you can count, whereas the hull and the speed is going to get you killed more times than you can count. It's not an easy forgiving tank, but in the right hands this thing is absolutely phenomenal. So looking at the mantlet, you can see how spectacular that is, but it's not all good news. You do have turret cheeks. Okay, 152, you're getting 150, 160 kind of equivalent armor here. Not very easy to hit without a very highly accurate gun, and we do have this band of very weak armor at the top, and this will be penetrated consistently. And as a Centurion 7.1, you need to keep this band exposed as little as possible. Pop up, use your great aim time, shoot, and then pull back. Don't sit there against good players. They will know how and where to penetrate you. In one of the replays, you're going to see this massive engine deck come into play. For artillery, if you're aiming at this tank, and they will aim at you if you're in this thing because you're not fast enough to be driving around like a lunatic, hit it here, guys. It's the only thing you need to do. You can one-shot this tank with high-tier artillery easily. And again, the turret sides are not particularly weak, but the turret top is exceptionally weak. Any artillery on this tank, if it's hitting it coming straight down, coming in from the side, coming in on the top, is going to be extremely, extremely powerful. So let's have a look at the statistics. So what do we need to know? Well, your gun has excellent penetration, 268 millimeters on a medium tank gun. Considering the E100 with its 235 millimeters penetration, that's absolutely phenomenal penetration. Okay, the benchmark at 233. and you're 34 points, 34 millimeters of penetration above the benchmark at this tier. Damage is 390. Again, above average for this tier, and those two aspects with the gun depression for me are what sell this tank to me. However, it must be said there is another way to play this tank. Instead of using the big gun, which is going to be a 10 or 11-second reload, some people prefer to play this gun, the second, the B barrel. If we just go back to the ordinary view, how you know if they've got the B barrel or the Royal Ordnance is this large module here on the tank barrel. It is quite a large cannon. As you are playing against this tank, you will see it. If you look at the second barrel, it's significantly smaller, and that module on the front, you should be able to see that quite easily. If you're facing a Centy 7.1 driver with this small barrel, you're going to be penetrated a lot more. This is going to a higher rate of fire and higher DPM. If you see the larger barrel, they're going to be shooting an awful lot less, but they're going to be causing you more damage for each of those shots. So those are two things you need to be aware of when you're playing this tank. So looking at the numbers again, view range is pretty good. We're looking here at 410, which is equivalent of some tier 8 scouts. Now they will spot you before you spot them, but this thing can be used for a little bit of spotting if needs be. Also forgot to mention that the reload time, 11.5. Well, it says the benchmark is 13, but this reload time is a little bit long. You're going to find that a little bit difficult to deal with, but you can get that down with crew skills, gun rammer, etc., etc. Camo's not great. You're going to find that you will be spotted pretty easily. You can spot, as I said, but you will be spotted before you spot the light tanks. Looking at the gun, these two numbers here are absolutely fantastic. We've got our accuracy at 0.3 and our aim time at 2.2. This is following on from the British guns previously in the tier, high accuracy, good aim time, although this one has significantly more damage than the other guns. And this as well, as well as the turret and the gun depression, are what sell this tank for me. Elevation and depression, 18 degrees of elevation, very, very good. You won't use it very often, but it is there. And the beautiful 10 degrees of depression. Okay, benchmark at 7.1. Hillfighter, as I said, you've got to be getting yourself into positions where you expose the turret, use your gun pointing down, and you can really do the work that needs to be done. But the negatives, there certainly are some negatives. 40 kilometers per hour speed limit. Now the benchmark at this tier is 53. So you will never make it to the hill first in mines. You will never get to the top of the hill in Himmelsdorf before that Batchat or any of the other tanks at this tier. You are slow. You're the equivalent of lightly armored heavy or a heavily armored medium. Okay, it has to be something you keep in mind, and until you learn that, you will get yourself killed consistently in this tank, trying to go where all the other medium tanks go. So you have to be prepared for that. You're slow moving, but you've got a great turret. Okay, you do have good power, you can climb hills, but with the top speed, it's going to be a major issue for you. 3.5 million price plus your equipment, you're looking at about maybe 5 million to properly kit it out. And finally, most important thing to say as well is that this baby shoots this as standard. APCR weaponry as standard, so you've got extremely good penetration, and it pisses people off. Two types of Hesh, one premium and one standard. So honestly, I only ever use this one. I don't remember the price on it, to be honest with you. High penetration, high damage, shooting at medium tanks and light tanks, especially light tanks and artillery. This ammo is absolutely excellent. So there we are in the stats. Let's go and have a look at one of the replays. So this was a replay sent to me by a guy in my clan called Pure Fodder, very, very good player, playing his Centurion 7.1. He's only got 24 games in this tank at the moment, so he's using the stock turret coming from the Centurion 1 and the Type P barrel, again coming from the Centurion 7.1, or coming from the Centurion 1. Personal choice there. Some people prefer the higher DPM. It's still got very, very nice accuracy. Personally, I prefer the bigger gun, but that really is up to you. He's going to fight in the B2C1 area, which is exactly where I would bring this tank, especially when it's stock. I would avoid the peninsula when they've got two tier 9 heavy tanks. I would absolutely not want to bump into them front on. with the stock cannon. Just have a look at the speed here. He's barely outrunning this T-32. Okay, so that's the speed that we spoke about. It's a slow-moving tank. T-54 lightweight is racing on ahead, as it should, and he's around about the same speed as the T-69. Now you're going to see some of the good things and some of the bad things about this tank. Again, turret, mantlet, and speed are the three things that you really need to be aware of when you're playing this tank. It's a pretty good game. It's got a 61% win chance. Yeah, I'd be feeling pretty good even in a stock tank in a game like this. Swings up here to the left just to take a quick peek in case there's anything that he can get some shots at. Decides against it and pushes up to this front. And uh-oh, that's an E75 spotted. It's absolutely the worst tank you want to see here. But he is in the open, and there is one Artie to try to help out. Pushes up slowly, puts the aim time and the accuracy to use. Upper front plate unfortunately bounces. Tries again. Aims. Lower front plate. Top again. Decides to stay in position. He has been spotted. Starts pumping out some damage. Again, only displaying his turret. One more. So let's see what he's doing here. He's only displaying his turret, which means he's a very difficult target to try to destroy. He's decided to stay in position to get his DPM in action. And I think that was a bit of a mistake, as you're going to see in a couple of seconds. But let's just see how this plays out. Keeps firing away. Bounces a couple of penetrations. Now, did you see that? T-54 Mod 1 ricochet. So where did it hit him? Well, it hit him in the weakest part of his turret armor, on the stock turret. But because of the high angling, he was able to bounce that shot, which was, you know, pretty lucky. But that's the thing about this tank. The turret can really, really be forgiving like that, and occasionally it will save your life. But what does get you killed is sitting in one place. Boom. 1,085 damage from a GW Panther. So where did he get hit? Right in the engine deck. And it's absolutely the worst place to get hit. And that's tier 7 artillery hitting a tier 9 hull, penetrating for 1,085 damage. So if I'm the enemy artillery player, I've got 3 or 4 targets to shoot at here. If I decide to shoot at that IS-3, he's driving forward, he's too fast. It's unlikely I'm going to get a hit on him. I could try to shoot at the T-54 lightweight, but again, very fast tanks, quite small. Not much hope that I'm going to be able to hit him. T-32 is a good target, but a Centurion 7.1 is an even better target. So this is some of the pros and the cons of this tank. Your turret will save you, your speed will cost you, and sitting in one place is absolutely not an option, even if you do want to keep your DPM and your fast firing gun in action. Let's have a look at some of the other replays and see what else we can find. So in this second replay, it's me driving my Centurion 7.1, which I've put camo on because I love this tank so much, using the Royal Ordnance cannon with the final turret, and it's a pretty good matchup. 48% win chance. I mean, those are even odds. That's the kind of game where you can really get some work done and make a difference. Enemy team has got 2 VKBs. They're most likely going to go into the city. Choosing my positioning here, well, the city, it's not a no-go, but I'm not going to get any hull down positions there, so that's not a great choice. I could push across and into the side of the city and try to hit their heavy tanks here, but those kind of coordinated tactics in a random game, you know, that's the kind of thing that gets you killed. Randoms, you know, you've got to play like everybody's an idiot, which most often they are. In the north, yeah, there's definitely some positions I could play with here, but I decide to go into the center, into this area, to try to use hull down positions as much as I can. Looking at the enemy team, well, they've got an FCM Unicom player, and I do end up facing off against another Centurion 7, displaying the positives and negatives for these tanks. Pushing up again the speed, I can sort of outrun an ST1, but it's a struggle to get this thing up to top speed. Got my gun pointed in case any of the scouts show up. And spot a 1390 on the left. Take a snapshot, not a hope. You're going to find that occasionally you do shoot into the ground like that. Keep pushing. Leopard PTA, not a good thing to spot there. Keep pushing, and we've got targets in front of us. Now I'm in a little hold down position here, and I just spotted the enemy Centurion 7-1. So we're going to have a little bit of a duel as this game goes on. Managed to sneak a shot into the FCM, who bounces on me with his shot. Again, it's that turret being put to use. I'm in a very powerful position here, and without any enemy artillery to deal with, I can really put this gun and this turret to use. To be a little bit conservative, though, I don't want to push up against two enemy tanks without any support. Take another look, and Centurion 7-1 on 7-1. He bounces me. He's got himself into a good hold down position there. Try to go for the sneaky shot, no luck. Pull back, wait for my 11-second reload to finish, or my 10-second reload to finish. He's just waiting for me. Disappears. Don't reacquire him. Again, another lucky bounce. So we're having a nice little duel here, hold down on hold down. And this could go on the whole, for the rest of the game, but luckily the rest of the team manages to break up the loggerheads a little. We're already 5k HP up. Searching for that FCM. I'm using the rocks to cover myself from the 7-1, hoping that the FCM is there. Finally, I spot the T-49s moving up. He's taking a hit, calling for help. I figure he's got these other tanks distracted, and I make a ballsy move and push up. Don't know where the FCM's gone, but that's a nice shot into the 7-1. 7-1 decides to get the hell out of dodge, falls back. T-49's gone, but Type 64 has tunnel visioned. Now I do take a hit, but it's one tank out of the game, and I thought this was it for the 7-1. Beautiful, beautiful target here. He's not repairing, and then he repairs. Damn it. So 7-1 is still a threat, but he's got to push himself up pretty aggressively. Take a look around, see how the rest of the team is doing. And I finally spot that there are 3 tanks up in B3. Now, I can duel it out with this Centurion 7-1, but until anybody does anything up here at B3, this northern advance is not going to go anywhere. So I decide to use my accuracy and get some shots in on these guys, try to support those guys. 1 kill shot. Cent 1 is too far down that hill now to do any good. He really needs to get out of that position if he wants to achieve anything. Spotted, wait for the reload, keep moving in case the 7-1 or anybody else pushes across. Reloaded now, decide to try again. Now he's spotted again. Looks like he's going backwards, so he's less of a concern. And a T-32, a little bit of a tricky shot, wait for it to aim. He pulls back and get a solid hit into the side of the T-32. He has tracked me, he knew I was going to be back, get another hit in. Was going to sit there and use the DPM, but I decided no, he's got a pretty reasonable reload, and I'm side on, best to move on. Centy 7-1, oh, very unfortunate position for him. Though, in fairness, he is trying to get his gun back in play, and I enjoyed playing against that guy. We were, I wouldn't say neck and neck, but it certainly wasn't a completely one-sided fight. T-32 is busy again, so I decide to sneak another shot. And now the other tanks are rushing him, so it's all over. I can pretty comfortably forget about him. He's gone. And push up on the Cent 7-1. Now, I'm not really sure what he was doing here. He is facing entirely the wrong way. I'm able to get to his side. That's 1. Pull back so only my turret is exposed. Try to prevent him from being able to shoot me. And finally finish him off. He played well. I was quite happy to play him. Decide to push up on the FCM. Driving over here, fully expecting to get right in his face and realize, whoa, at the last second, that's a big drop. Pull back. Hoping that he'll come in front of my gun. Very difficult angle, and manage to penetrate him. 3,500 damage at this point. Finish it off with one more hit. 3,843 damage in that game. Really enjoyed it. You know, and over half health left. Looking at the tank, we got some penetrations in the hull. We got some ricochets on the mantlet. One very, very lucky penetration there through the mantlet of the gun. Ricochets on the hull as well. You know, it's exactly how to play the Cent 7-1. Keep the turret as your only part of your tank exposed, and keep the gun in play as much as you can. Let's move on to the last replay. So, welcome to Normandy. Fighting on one of the newer maps, D-Day. Gotta say, I really like this map. The only danger with this thing is when all of your heavy tanks go down onto the beach. It's constantly happening on this map. It's really a concern. Most often, you really want to keep your heavy tanks and your medium tanks fighting in this area with the zero line as a good flank. It's not to say the beach is useless, but it just seems to attract a hell of a lot of tanks down there, and then these upper sections of the map get absolutely destroyed. Playing here with two of my clanmates, Burning Wreck and Exo, both insane players. They're an absolute blast to play with, and I really hope we get platooning again soon. Both of them playing in their 215Bs. This game ended up being a little bit of a slaughter, but what they did turned it into an absolute rout. Getting the game going here, decide to push up. I want to get myself in a position to the side of the main brawl, which usually happens beside the windmill. I'm expecting the heavy tanks here and our heavy tanks here. I'm going to position myself to the left, trying to get some sneaky shots into the sides of whatever heavy tanks show up. Pushing across, we spot a scout on the ridge in front of us in a couple of seconds. T-49, big gun. You don't really want to get hit by that guy. Luckily, he doesn't spot me, but I waste far too much time trying to get a shot in on this guy. So I've pushed into some hills here, and I start searching for the shot on this T-49, and I waste far, far too much time trying to do that. So, as I said, we've got most of our players down on the beach, and a very, very weakly held upper part of the map, and we were lucky to pull this back. I didn't spot that these tanks were pushing down here. They're going to completely flank me. I was tunnel visioning on this T-49. It could have cost me my game. Didn't want to push up any further in case there were tanks behind, but I just could not get a shot on this T-49. He wouldn't oblige me by falling back. Finally, I spot that the enemy tanks are pushing down the right flank. See a Type 59, blast him, and we trade shots. But he pays for it an awful lot more than I do. So I pull back, trying to get into a better hold down position. IS-8 was spotted over there and almost fell off. Oh, beautiful shot. And he moves at the last minute, so that was the end of that. Now, my two friends, the 215Bs, have pushed along the ridge. They're causing havoc over here. STB-1 is already gone, so I decide to push up on these tanks immediately. Get a little bit of a crossfire going. T-49 taken care of. T-54 and myself both spot this tank is in trouble. We rush in to get the kill shot damage. Very dangerous situation. You've got to be careful not to hit your platoon mate or even teammates here. Aiming, and 28 damage. Absolutely excellent. Spot the VKB and the artillery. Really don't want to meet that VKB head on. E50 pushing across. So, E50, good tank. Try to get a shot in. Aimed. And bounced. Very unfortunate bounce. He's shooting gold. Pulling back, keep my turret in play, and I make a key error here, driving right in front of this guy's gun. Totally my fault. Just a lack of awareness there for a moment. So, what's the situation? Well, I've got almost full health E50 in front of me. I got a VKB with excellent armor pushing towards me, and even with my great penetration, I'm going to struggle to penetrate this guy. I could hit the E50. I think he's just fired. I could try to hit the VKB, but I spot this Type 59, and that for me is a much better target. He's side on. I might be able to ammo rack him if I'm really lucky. T-54 behind me hasn't spotted what's coming, so I've got one chance to make a difference here. If I could take that tank out, my friends in the 215Bs can get up and help us out. So, spot him, aim, accuracy, and boom. Good hit. Start to pull back. VKB is coming, and at this point I thought the game was over. But it gets worse. IS-8 tracks me. I immediately repair, try to reverse up the hill, but the engine power just isn't enough to do it. Take my shot and decide to do something ballsy. From the position that I was in there was nowhere to go. I couldn't reverse up this hill. Possibly could have gone behind that building, but it wouldn't have given me a hold down position. So I decided to push back across to my original position. Very, very risky, but at this point it was do or die. VKB fluffs his shot. E50, much better player, manages to get a good shot in. I'm a one shot now to anybody who cares to fire at me. Artie getting in on the job. VKB getting destroyed by my platoon mates. And now the E50, it's all over for him. So I decide to push up and get whatever damage out of it I can. One more hit. And off we go to finish these last two enemy tanks down on the beach. 13-1. You know, it was a slaughter, an absolute slaughter. So again, it's turret, it's maneuverability, it's keeping your awareness of what's going on the map, and that nearly cost me in this game. But just have a look at what happens here at the very, very end. Burning wreck, pushing up, not much gun depression, the 215B. Takes his shot, does get the damage. Exo pushing up as well. I'm trying to hunt for my last little bit of damage. Oh, Exo! Oh, so close, right on the edge. Burning as well. Oh, Exo's gone. Down he goes. Burning decides to follow, and boom! 1,680 damage. Exo somehow only manages to track himself. It was the end of a very, very good game. Not much damage, but great synergy in the team. So, the Centy 7-1, it's well worth the grind. It's an extremely enjoyable tank. I'd absolutely recommend this to anybody, as I do to anybody who asks. It's a forgiving tank on occasion, but remember, it's all about the turret, it's all about the mantlet, and it's all about the gun. Hope this was useful for you guys, and I hope to see you again with my next video sometime this week. Alright, good luck everybody, bye-bye.